radio listeners, TV viewers, those following via social media, and members of the media. Welcome to the CKAIR meeting number 3 for today, Wednesday, October 22nd, 2025. We have established a quorum of 4 factions. Please stand for a moment of silence. Thank you. I have received notice of absence from the following committee members: MP Doran, MP Kotai. Are there any notifications? That does not seem to be the case. The agenda points for this committee meeting are: 1. Incoming documents. 2. Debriefing IPCO and Tripartite September 25th till 29th, 2025. We go over to agenda point number 1. All members of the committee have received the list of incoming documents for the committee. The list is basically an overview of all the documents that were referred to the committee during the specific period of time. These documents range from IS number 481 to IS number 853 of the parliamentary year. The list consists of different categories of incoming documents. The treaties are for the members to take note of because they don't require approval, or the silent approval procedure applies. Same goes for the documents under lijstverdragen and varia. Please note that this committee is still to handle IS number 812, which is the evaluation document on the Kingdom law regarding informing the Parliament on treaties. Is there a member of the committee to whom I can give the floor? That does not seem to be the case. We now go over, if not, the list. If there are no other comments on the list that I have just presented, that does not seem to be the case, then the list and proposals for further handling are approved. We now go over to agenda point number 2. Debriefing IPCO and Tripartite September 25th till 29th, 2025. From September 25th till 29, 2025, the Tripartite and IPCO meeting took place in Den Haag, the Netherlands. All committee members have received the agreement list of the IPCO, as well as other documentation presented during these meetings. The IPCO agreement list is registered under IS number 115, 2025-2026, dated September 29, 2025. Allow me first to give a brief summary of the Tripartite, which was held on September 25th, 2025. The goal of this meeting between the delegations of the parliaments of Aruba, Curaçao, and Sint Maarten was to prepare for the Interparliamentary Kingdom consultation and discuss topics of mutual interest. During the Tripartite, the delegation discussed the draft dispute regulation and the steps to be taken regarding the draft Kingdom law and its trajectory. During the meeting, the delegations also discussed the importance of strengthening regional cooperation from a parliamentary perspective and enhancing the participation of the 3 parliaments in platforms such as Parlatino, Parlaméricas, as well as forming part of the Kingdom delegation to the UN General Assembly, which has been done in the past. This will in turn allow for parliamentary diplomacy to be advanced. Delegations also discussed the Democratic Deficit Committee of Experts and the furtherance of the IPCO decision. Part of the discussions were also the current geopolitical developments in the region and the world, with particular attention to the role of the Kingdom of the Netherlands in matters of foreign affairs and defense, as it relates specifically to the Dutch Caribbean island, but also the European Netherlands, as the trickle-down effects that could happen for the Dutch Caribbean islands. During the deliberations, delegations also discussed the ongoing situation between the BES Islands and the Netherlands as it pertains to the changes to the WALBES and the FINBES, After the discussions, the delegations agreed to a joint resolution showing moral support to the island councils of Bonaire, St. Eustatius, and Saba. This joint resolution was signed by the presidents of the 3 Caribbean countries. The meeting then concluded with preparations for the Interparliamentary Kingdom consultation, also known as IPCO. In regards to this matter, before we go into the second part, being the IPCO, to which member can I give the floor to specifically explain in regards to the joint resolution and the BES and Netherlands, in regards to the BES and Netherlands and the joint resolution showing the moral support? Is there a member that I can give the floor to further elaborate on specifically that matter or maybe other matters that were discussed in the tripartite? Does seem to be the case. MP Wescott Williams, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair Lady. Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to our support staff and, of course, my colleagues and the members of the committee. Madam Chair Lady, the declaration signed by the CAS countries, I don't know if I should use that word, but nevertheless, by the CAS countries with respect to the BES Islands, came after several, especially from St. Martin's side, I can attest, and I know it also took place on in the other countries, but the request by starting with Saba and St. Eustatius, and then it became a joint effort by the 3 BES Islands, and it was their question and their quest in order to get the support of the 3 larger countries in terms of what they were experiencing. The BES Islands visited and spoke to members of parliament of all of the 3 countries, Aruba, Curacao, and St. Martin. And then as tripartite, so now the consultation between these 3 countries, we needed to, while we acknowledged and supported the quest by the BES Islands for more involvement in legislation that regards them. That's what it basically comes down to. And the 3 countries expressed understanding for this position and this concern of the BES Islands. And at the same time, we recognize that formally we don't have anything to say about them, and that in the IPCO meeting, where we would be meeting our counterparts of the Netherlands especially, they are the representatives of the BES Islands. But nevertheless, together we agreed that we needed to say something. And so as tripartite, we agreed we needed to say something, and not only say something on paper, expressing our support for their quest for more participation, more input in legislation that regards them, but also to talk, even informally, with our Dutch counterparts about what Saba, Eustatius, and Bonaire were experiencing, which we did as well. So the declaration, as we agreed to in tripartite, was exactly to create that opening, to create that platform, and also to keep a keen ear and eye out for the further developments regarding this matter for our sister islands of the BES. So it came about, one, after efforts by these islands to get our support, to get our input and support them in their dialogue request. And we were able to share that, albeit informally, with our Dutch counterparts as well in the meeting after the tripartite, which was the IPCO. So again, it's a ongoing, it's a developing trajectory, also taking into consideration that Saba, St. Martin, and St. Eustatius picked back up the kind of cooperation and collaboration that we had before 10-10-10 for sure, and just before 10-10-10, when the three islands here called the Windward Islands were working on establishing actually an economic union. And to this end, we have spoken to our two sister islands, and we will continue, St. Martin will continue on that trajectory of seeking closer and more formalized collaboration with Sabre and St. Eustatius. Remarkable in this context is the fact that some of the matters that we have heard today, or several months ago rather, from Sabre and St. Eustatius are the same ones we identified before 10-10-10 when we were trying to establish a Windward Island economic union. So it kind of is like we're going back round to a position where these islands are seeking collaboration. We all decided what way we wanted to go constitutionally. We're here facing all our own challenges in the different statuses that we have. However, the islands again are seeking closer collaboration and cooperation, and very specifically the islands of St. Martin, Sabre, and St. Eustatius. Just a little context to the agreement that was signed, Madam Chair Lady. Thank you.
Thank you, MP Wescott Williams, for your input. Is there other member that would like to add to that discussion? That does not seem to be the case. As it regards to the next part, being the Interparliamentary Kingdom consultations, the official opening of the IPCO took place, which speeches were delivered by the chairperson of IPCO and the presidents of parliament. Each speech was followed by a presentation by the representative chairpersons of the Kingdom Affairs committees. The Honorable President of Parliament, Mrs. Sarah Wescott Williams, presented her opening remarks, after which Vice Chairman of the Committee for Kingdom Affairs and Interparliamentary Relations, also known as CKAIR, Mr. Franklin Myers, presented the recent developments in St. Martin. The first day concluded with a working visit to the Haagse Hogeschool in Den Haag regarding student success of Caribbean students. The Kingdom Affairs studies at the Haagse Hogeschool. The program ended with a panel discussion regarding Papiamento as instruction language in education, alongside broader issues of mother tongue education and multilingual education. The delegations also discussed the current geopolitical developments in the world and their potential impacts on the countries within the Kingdom of the Netherlands. Also, vocational education, known as beroepsonderwijs, was also a discussion topic during which the presenter discussed the power of vocational education and current research being carried out on education in the Caribbean Netherlands. The delegation also received information on the projects of the Strategic Education Alliance. Mr. Paul Comencia, Mr. Paul Comencia, a member of the Council of State of the Kingdom of the Netherlands, gave a presentation regarding the Council's spontaneous advice on the 70th anniversary of the Charter for the Kingdom, which then ended in delegates working in working groups, exploring various themes connected to the Council's advice. The IPCO also discussed the report titled Moderate Growth of the State Commission Demographic Development 2050 by Mr. Richard van Zwol, former chair of the Commission. This regarded population aging and migration through at least 2050 in the context of the pursuit of general welfare. During the IPCO, this time delegations were received by His Majesty King Willem-Alexander at Palace Noordeinde in Den Haag. Members of the delegation engaged in discussions with the King on their role as representatives of the people, the experiences of citizens across the kingdom, and opportunities for practical cooperation within the kingdom. The September 2025 IPCO officially concluded with a unanimous approval of the agreement list by all 4 parliamentary delegations representing the parliaments of Aruba, Curaçao, St. Martin, and the States General of the Netherlands. The next IPCO is scheduled to take place in February 2026 in Aruba, where delegations are expected to follow up on the agreement list of September 2025, receiving a technical briefing on the kingdom's geopolitical situation and to discuss the financial relations within the kingdom. That being said, are there members that would like to chime in regards to specifically the topics, geopolitical developments, and also in regards to the spontaneous advice given on the 70th anniversary of the Charter of the Kingdom? And are other pointers? If so, to which member can I give the floor? MP Wescott Williams, you have the floor.
Thank you once again, Madam Chair Lady, and thank you for that review of the IPCO discussions and the decision list of the IPCO. For this committee, I would want to suggest that we act on getting government's response to matters that we agree to as IPCO early on. You know that basically after this meeting, we send the report, which has already been copied to them. Yes, not yet, but let me just await the confirmation. But in any case, Madam Chair Lady, I'll hear that from you shortly. But I really think that we need to get the government's reaction as soon as possible. That's one. I am concerned I was heartened by our discussions regarding the democratic deficit and the agreement that we have pertaining to that. However, there are two matters that relate to this, which has my concern, should have the concern of this committee, and which we should share with the government. One, we discussed, and as you rightfully said, Madam Chair Lady, received a presentation on the spontaneous advice of the Council of State regarding 70 years charter. And the Dutch government back in, I think it was in May, either the month of March or May of this year, indicated that they were going to come with a kingdom-wide advice on that matter. However, they have then kind of pulled it to themselves as if now we're going to be getting individual advices from the government. By the way, our government too has prepared its reaction. So my question is, what are we going to do with these different reactions and the recommendations as put forward by the Council of Advice on 70-year charter? If we don't grab this matter and kind of lead it in a direction, it's going to be just another report at a particular point in history and many recommendations, including the issue of the democratic deficit. I am of the firm belief that a matter like the dispute regulation in itself would contribute to reducing the democratic deficit. However, again, when I hear the reactions coming from the Dutch government on the agreed upon draft dispute regulation, which has now been presented on behalf of the CAS countries, then I'm like, okay, this is not going in a good direction. And yes, of course, you have a caretaker government in the Netherlands right now, but I think we need to use our goodwill as a parliament to, along with the other parliaments, try to steer this matter in the right direction. For years, the governments have not held a kingdom conference where not only this type of matters would be discussed, but also where decisions can be taken as to where we want to go together in the Kingdom of the Netherlands. And so we need that kind of a kingdom conference. One of the recent IPCOs, not the last one, but we spent a long time debating that we should have a kingdom conference, and then what would the role of the parliaments be in that? Can we be there? Should we be observers? Should we be participants, etc., etc.? But that has now been let go. And so we have this report, we have government's reaction, but what are we going to do with the recommendations? How are we going to bring those different reactions together in terms of deciding where we want to go on the different issues, be it the voting rights for citizens of the Caribbean countries, be it something like the dispute regulation. All of these things, in my opinion, would help. We wouldn't solve it completely yet, but would help reduce the existing democratic deficit. So yes, and then on a note regarding education, I think we should inform the government of St. Martin of, based on our discussions in IPCO, amongst others, that a member of the second chamber has presented a motion regarding canceling at least part of the study debt of students in the Caribbean part of the kingdom. And that is by Member White of the second chamber. That motion was presented. He told us during IPCO that he would, and I reminded him, talking about the brain drain and brain gain, I reminded him of St. Martin's long-standing contribution to canceling part of the study debt, at least for persons returning and working with government, up to a maximum of 50%. And I told him in his arguments to use that to show that some countries, St. Martin for sure, also saw cancellation or partial cancellation of study debt as a way to bring back our students to the country. So that motion has received support, and it is asking the government of the Netherlands to report about the feasibility of canceling partially the study debt of students, not only in the BEST, but also in the CAS countries. So I don't think that we should just sit back and wait, but rather put a sort of a flag out so that we can follow up on what is taking place. I believe it was given on the government of the Netherlands was given until March of 2026 to respond to this motion. So I think wherever we can plug in a little in terms of what it could mean for St. Martin if our students were able to get that. And again, all about the brain gain, that, we should. So not to sit back and wait and see March comes around and then see what the government would say, the Dutch government would say, but rather to be kind of proactive in terms of having the data, the necessary data about our students, et cetera, so that if ever asked to present it, we have it, as we would say, voorhanden. So I just would want to apprise the government of St. Martin of this and ask them, in particular our Minister of Education, to keep an eye out in terms of, where necessary, also lending our support to that motion because of what it would mean for the country. So, Madam Chair, Lady, for now, I think those are the few things I wanted to add to the elaboration that you gave regarding the IPCO decision list. Thank you.
Thank you, MP Wescott Williams. Is there other member that would like to add? That does not seem to be the case. In regards to the 2 pointers that were brought forward by MP Wescott Williams, in regards to the agreement list needs to go through the public meeting for it to be ratified, and then it will be sent to the government for their feedback or their view on that agreement list. In regards to the second part, the motion of Member of Parliament White, indeed that can be sent through the committee to the government so that we can get the input of the government and specifically the Minister of Education, Culture, Youth and Sport, so that we have a position on that matter as well. There does not seem to be any other member that would like to have the floor. So then hereby I thank you all, members of parliament. Ladies, we have come to the end of this meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, sorry. I got confused by the pink. Ladies and gentlemen, we have came to the end of this meeting. I thank you all for your participation and I hereby close this meeting.